Good morning. Good morning.
All right, welcome everyone. This is a public meeting of the Indiana Arts Commission. Today, we're reviewing On-Ramp 2021 Fellowship Proposals for the Greater Lafayette Cohort. This is panel B, Visual Arts, Photography, and Craft Arts. I'm Stephanie Haynes, Arts Education and Accessibility Manager and the facilitator for today's meeting. Today is August 3rd, and we are meeting on Zoom. We welcome applicants and guests who may be listening in today, and we would like to remind you that you are muted for this entire review. There is no direct contact or conversation about the evaluation or disposition of applications before, during, or after the panel meeting. At this time, we would like the panelists and staff to introduce themselves, stating their name, occupation, and where they are from in the state. I will go name by name, start with Jessica.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jessica Brand. I am a marketing director. I currently live in Carmel, Indiana. I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you. Welcome, Jessica. And Annabelle.
Annabelle Hopkins, Nashville, Indiana, a painter.
Thank you, Annabelle. Thanks for being here. And Vicki.
Hi, I'm Vicki Vardaman. I'm the Executive Director of the Art Association of Randolph County in Union City, Indiana.
Thank you. And Shamira.
Good morning, I'm Shamira Wilson, and I'm an interdisciplinary visual artist in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Thank you. Welcome. Anna Tragesser.
Hi, I'm Anna Tragesser. I'm the program manager and here to observe and take notes.
Bridget Eckert.
Bridget Eckert, IAC staff, here to help with any technical issues today.
Maya Michelson.
Hi, Maya Michelson, Deputy Director, and I'm just here to observe.
Thank you, everyone. So this panel is structured to give feedback that will help the applicant strengthen their fellowship project to advance their career. The discussion will also help IAC staff identify any important modifications that applicants may be required to make to their fellowship project before moving forward. I will announce the application that we'll be reviewing one by one, and I will ask the first reader to begin the discussion. The first reader will provide advice to strengthen the fellowship project, focusing on the evaluation criteria from their perspective. Panelists, please note that the applications do not need to be recapped since everyone has read it. Just provide your comments. After the first reader is finished, I will ask the second reader to present any new, additional, or opposing comments. We are not looking for consensus. We want the applicant to receive excellent advice from the different perspectives that the panelists bring to the table. After the second reader is finished, I will then open up the discussion for all comments from anyone. And remember, in the interest of time, we are only looking for new, additional, or opposing viewpoints. If a panelist has a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed in the virtual waiting room while the application is being reviewed. Finally, once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, we will ask the panel to update their comments in the online system. It is common for recommendations to change as a result of this broader discussion. Any changes you make in the online system will save automatically. So today, unfortunately, one panelist was unable to participate, Arthur Fields, where he is listed as first reader or second reader, or the second reader will take his place, where he's listed as second reader, will then open up to the full panel for additional comments. So we'll keep moving on. Are there any questions from the panel? All right, let's begin. We will start with the first applicant here, On-Ramp 2021, Kurt, RT. And I will invite our first reader, Shamira, to share her perspective.
Good morning. Thank you, Stephanie. I found Kurt's application very intriguing and compelling, and I think the upgrade in equipment will allow the artist to expand their practice and definitely share an aspect of nature that isn't often seen. That covers the goals. In terms of feasibility, everything sounded feasible. I did have a few questions for the artist in their application. What will the artist do in the event that there isn't enough wildlife present? And what are the ramifications for interacting with the wildlife, and how can they minimize that impact? And also, will the equipment need to be insured for damage, weather, and things like that? For community engagement, I gathered that the artist had a pretty good understanding of the way that their goals could support the community and encourage people to go outside and explore nature. And it seems like the artist is open to collaboration, which is totally important for community engagement. One thing that I noticed in looking back over the application, I think it could be a good idea for future applications to have some sort of relationship building already started in place so that if your application is approved, that can already be taken care of. And that covers my feedback.
Thank you. There is no second reader for this, so I'll open it up to the other three panelists to share their thoughts on the evaluation criteria.
With Annabelle, it seemed to me that she had some pretty strong past collaboration with organizations that are important to her work. I thought that was a strength that she had.
Of all the applications that I looked over, this was my favorite because it was really well thought out and written. So this was my top one. So I just wanted to give that positive feedback on that.
Yeah, this was an easy one.
I would also add for community engagement, because this was such an exciting application, that I would suggest looking to showcase this photography for public consumption, and also expanding the areas of expertise to perhaps like nature centers, park districts, museums, zoos, and those types of things, because this really is very unique. And I think that a lot of people would be interested in seeing this work.
Thank you. And I will remind all our panelists that we are not comparing the applications one to another as far as one's better than the other, but we are comparing the applications to the evaluation criteria. Does anyone have any other thoughts about the feasibility, community engagement, and career goals?
No.
All right. Without any further comments, please finalize any thoughts or comments in the online system. And I'll give you a minute to do that.
Who's going to be next so I can look it up?
Atwell.
Atwell. Okay. Atwell. Okay, that's the shoe one.
Does anyone need more time? The next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Atwell, and our first reader is Jessica.
Thank you. My goal feedback would be that I believe that the acquisition of the gentle roller is a game changer for every aspect of the overall goals for this. The specifics regarding what this machine will allow this artist to do by expanding every aspect of the business is very, very exciting. The feasibility feedback. I was interested to know if this artist had considered seeing any potential income from these classes. Seems that these classes would be worth an admission fee for the amount of information that is being provided in these. Understanding the concept of introducing this art form to students and latent creatives, and how you can leverage your skills in these classes to people who are willing to pay for this experience, because it is an awful lot of information that I think would be very, very interesting for people to pay to see. And then for community engagement, I think you have an excellent handle on this. I would also add to start a spreadsheet, perhaps with names and contact information for entities you need to reach out to for your in your market for your presentations, and to also look for other ways besides just press releases, because they're rarely successful. And sometimes you just have to pick up the phone these days and call. I would also suggest contacting your local print, TV, and social media outlets and learn who writes the stories. Create a short bio, including photos of your work and process to send for print. And it's always good to have one on hand if someone asks for an interview. So I think this is really, really a terrific opportunity for people to see what you do. And the information was so succinct, and I really enjoyed reading this one. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Our second reader is Vicky.
So I pretty much agree with everything she just said. She covered it really well. I think that I had on there for the feedback, I like the interaction with the other groups and pulling the people from the farmers market. I think it's very feasible. The community feedback, working with the 4-H, that's good. I mean, it's starting it's kind of a new art form to a lot of people. And so that would really give her a lot more, I don't know, ability to do something different. I mean, that's going to be a game changer to get that for her, I think, to go on with her art. So my feedback's positive on that one.
Thank you. I will now open it up to the other panelists. Anything to add? Any new information on the evaluation criteria? Okay, hearing no more conversation, I will ask you to now finalize your comments in the online system for Atwell and prepare for the next application of Box.
Box. Come on, get out of the way. Oh, come on. Okay, box. Box.
Okay, we are going to begin our review of the application On-Ramp 2021 Box. We do not have a first reader on this, so we will go to our second reader, Shamira.
Thank you, Stephanie. In reviewing Box's application, I found this idea to be very exciting and well thought out. In terms of her goals, one long-term question I had was, how will the result of this goal be maintained? And what will the artists do with the project as it grows and needs to be managed? How will that impact their art practice? For feasibility, it sounded very feasible. They have the help of a tech company for planning and prototyping. With community engagement, my notes were that there was a lot of information about investors and more information about the target audience, buyers, and community using the product and impact upon them could be a useful detail to include. Also, it could be helpful to touch on any preliminary research done about the proposed product prior to the pitch and prototype being made. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I will now open up the discussion to the other panelists. Please share your thoughts on the strengths and areas of growth for this application.
I had a question on the feasibility. I just was wondering where they're going to hold the workshops and if they're going to be inside or outside. I mean, are they going to be like doing murals or on plywood, or, you know, what kind of, a little bit more information on that's all.
Does anyone else have thoughts to share on Box's application?
Well, what I like to add is there are many RFPs out all the time for public art all over the country. And so I think the opportunities are unlimited once he gets going. I can't evaluate anything technical, but he seems very knowledgeable of what he's going to be doing. And I think if he gets on the right mailing list, he'll find plenty of opportunities in his career.
I also wanted to add for community engagement. We read a lot about potential or investors for this platform. I was wondering what the artist community is saying about the need for this platform, since that's basically the bottom line as you know, who will be consuming this. And also I had a question of whether it will just be for strictly artwork, or will there be some point where they're incorporating music where you would be able to find artists, you know, bands or individual musicians. I think that would be an interesting way to expand as well.
Thank you, everyone. I will now ask you to finalize your comments in the online system for this application of Box and prepare for the next application, Bronow.
This one is who? Bronow. Okay, Bronow. I can get to it. Oh, dang it.
You're doing great, everyone. Thank you so much for your comments.
Oh, I can't get to it. Oh, shoot. Where am I? Okay, there we go. Bronow. Let me find my notes on Bronow.
Annabelle, are you ready for the
Well,
next one?
I'm trying to find my notes on this one.
Okay, I'll give you another few seconds.
I've got his application up, but I'm trying to find my notes. Box and sheets, Kurt, Ennis, Atwell, Woodrow. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Am I the?
All right. Yeah. Let me introduce the application. We're gonna next review the application On-Ramp 2021 Bronow, and our first reader is Annabelle Hopkins.
Okay. Okay. I thought his career goal will be aided by this project. I think I'm a little concerned that his work that is going to, I think he's one of the ones in the joint show, right? I'm trying to go down here. That his work may be a little superior than that of the others, and it may not be well balanced for that particular show. Well, I hope that doesn't reflect on his status, because I think he is probably a little more advanced. The project is feasible. Let's see. All right, let me go back to my notes here. Okay, collaboration with the other artists I found very interesting as a part of the On-Ramp program, that the 4 people are working together. This project should gain lots of visibility and gain him new admirers. If he teaches locally, that would bring in more people. Let's see, I think that was all that I had.
Okay, thank you. And our second reader is Jessica.
I thought that this artwork was just beautiful. I loved looking at the pieces. Uh, I think the goals were great. I would consider adding an online component to your catalog to reach a broader audience. I'm always thinking about potential clients and potential purchasers. I think the feasibility was great. I was extremely impressed with the use of in-kind contribution. I thought that that's really a great way to push the art and have a presence with people who are supporting you. For community engagement, I think it's really terrific that you have an exhibition that's already on the calendar. I would consider adding a social media presence for those who are unable to attend the exhibition, but who would really enjoy this work. I'd hate to see it limited to just those that are there in person. So I hope that that's a consideration. Thank you.
Great. We will now open up the discussion to the other panelists if you have anything to add, new or opposing.
This application is really well thought out, and I like that he's already got things lined up. Okay, I think even if he doesn't get the money, he's still going to do this. You know, it's like already in progress. He's got his catalog. He's going to have what libraries it's going to go to. I just think it's really well written and very feasible.
Okay, hearing no more comments, I'll ask all the panelists to finalize your comments in the online system for Bro Now and prepare for the next application of Fowler.
Fowler. Okay.
All right, the next application is On-Ramp 2021 Fowler, and our first reader is Vicky.
Okay, I had a few questions about this one. Let's see. The thing about becoming an Indiana artisan is a great goal, but that doesn't mean you're going to get in. They only accept 20% of people that apply. So, you know, what's your fallback plan if you don't get accepted into that? You know, usually they'll help you and tweak it and tell you what you need to do to change to maybe be accepted in the next round. But that's just a yearly application thing. So you can't really put all your eggs in that basket, you know, with the 20%, no matter how good you are. And they do have a lot of glass artists already. So I would suggest for him to or her to go look at their competition on that one and see what they're up against, see what kind of, see the quality and what is expected. And then are you up to that part on quality? You know, that's just a question. And I was wondering where they're going to be showing and holding the classes on the feasibility, and will they be charging or are they just demos? A little more clarity on that. And then not to just rely on internet data resources. And I feel like he needs, or she, I didn't see who the name was, but they need a little bit more substance in this proposal. That's it.
Thank you. And our next reader is Annabelle.
Okay. Her goals are good. They're more business goals than artistic goals, which is okay. I'm skeptical of the survey because when you ask people about art, I mean, they don't know what to answer or they don't have an opinion. They know what they like or not, but they don't always know what should be. And so I wouldn't rely too heavily on the type of survey that she's talking about. I think the professionals she's working with, I think would be of more help in determining what her website would be about. Websites are expensive. I guess she's got that figured out. Regarding Indiana Artisan, don't put all your eggs in that basket. I mean, it's a wonderful organization and they offer support, but it's one of those things, it's more what you put into it. And it's not like a ticket to all of a sudden becoming well known as an artist. It helps, but it's not a be all end all. Let me see. I think to get an Indiana Artisan, she has to have a good body of work. I only found one image, the tree with the glass blossoms. Her Dropbox had expired by the time I got into it, so I haven't really seen all of her work. As far as community engagement, there's good collaboration. The demonstration should bring some additional community engagement, and many art shows and other activities show that she is engaged well. But I think she needs to concentrate on her body of work and getting the word out on that.
Thank you. I will now open it up and invite the other panelists to add new or opposing information on the criteria.
I had
I would like
new
to add-
information on the goals. I thought that it was great that she was getting a logo created. However, oftentimes when I hear that someone wants a logo, they may need branding in actuality. So I'm wondering if the artist has considered hiring a branding consultant or a marketing firm instead of doing the website project and the promotion a la carte.
It's interesting.
I would like to add too that from a marketing standpoint, you have to be careful with surveys because you're only going to get between a 10 and a 30% answer rate, even a response rate. So not even to mention what the responses are going to be. So I wouldn't rely on Survey Monkeys as your survey to decide and determine on your design. Sometimes it's best to either, again, speak with the professional or also talk to other successful website owners to avoid the pitfalls, find out what works, what doesn't work, just by going through, like I said, asking them if you can. Also, to push traffic to your site for attendance, I would consider other avenues of invitations. And you'd mentioned having people have to sign up for your mailing list in order to get an invitation can be a turnoff because people's inboxes are so inundated. So perhaps making it as easy and as painless as possible to get a ticket to your demo. Once you get them in the seats, then it's nice to send follow-ups and then ask people to subscribe to your mailing list. But to make it something that you have to do in order to get a ticket is sometimes a turnoff for people. So I would be careful with that and try to look to be more inviting for everyone with, like I said, as little strings attached as possible. Thanks.
I agree with that strongly.
Thank you, everyone. Please finalize your comments in the online system for Fowler and prepare for the next application, Inez. Okay, our next application to review is OnRamp 2021 Inez. Our first reader is Jessica.
Thank you. I thought that the goal was very impressive. This is a very highly specialized art form, and I want to know more about this. In regard to feasibility, I did have some questions because as I was reading through, some of them were answered in the community engagement, but because this is such a highly specialized art form, has there been consideration to request an apprenticeship with a cobbler to receive some hands-on experience to complement the online masterclass? There are lots of questions that are posed within this feasibility study that I feel you definitely have to have an answer to before beginning to reach these goals. and clarifying a path that will allow you to focus on your timeline with little deviation from the original plan will keep you on task. So how will shoe making fit into your existing business plan is a question that you definitely need to answer to before moving forward. The community engagement process is good, but I would consider adding a study on your shoe trends, the cost associated with labor and materials, as well as your customer demographics. Custom shoe purchases can be very personal experience. And so I would do some research on what customer or shoe customers that are looking for custom shoes would really be interested in purchasing. You listed so many different styles, from sneakers to boots to sandals. And so much of that is so highly specialized that I'd like to see you try to start with something that you found would be the most widely accepted, perhaps, for this audience that you're looking at. But it really is very exciting, and I think it's kind of a lost art form that I would love to see come back, and I'd love to see what you're doing with it.
Thank you. There's no second reader on this one, so I'll open it up to the full panel for discussion.
Okay, she seems to gonna rely on Etsy a whole lot, but she doesn't list any of her sales results from the other products that she sells. So it's hard. I can't really judge the feasibility because I don't know her track record. Plus, it's a new type of footwear she wants to learn. And again, until she does, it's going to be hard to know whether it's going to be accepted and feasible. But I like the idea. I just don't know how feasible it is. I mean, it's feasible to what she wants to do in the project to get the equipment and the training. That's feasible, but actually selling, not sure about that. Making shoes is not a program that invites much community involvement other than customer interface. She has a good start with social media contacts, but the nature of her craft does not really lend itself to classes, workshops, etc. Possibly demonstrations on the old machines are a good idea, but I can't really think of anything else she could do for that. Done.
Cobblers are disappearing by the minute. So I think if she could get in with somebody that's already got an established business and see what it entails, because usually those kind of businesses also, fix zippers and do repairs, put new soles on, that kind of thing, which would be a great business to get into. Maybe have somebody mentor her into, and even possibly take over a business. Somebody maybe that's retiring.
I guess it's a craft. I don't know if it's an art, but we do crafts too, so it's okay, I guess.
So I heard some conversation around community engagement work from Annabelle and career goals related to the project from Vicki. Anything else? Okay, please finalize your comments in the online system and prepare for the next application. Kissinger.
Okay, I like that one. Kissinger.
Okay, our next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Kissinger. Our first reader is Vicki.
Okay, I was impressed with this grant. I think she could really use the help from the IAC to move on to a professional productive business. I think that the feasibility is good. The application's been well thought out. The artist seems ready to go forward with her glass work, and I was impressed with her work when I looked at it. I'd say make contacts with local businesses and groups that may be interested in some public art made from glass. I mean, there's so many possibilities with something like that. This is just going to forward her career, giving her a little more possibilities of things she can create. So I'm positive on this one.
Our second reader on this application is Shamira.
Thank you. I had a few notes on the goals and feasibility. I found the artist's work to be incredibly beautiful. I did have a question about the kilns. One thing that stuck out for me in reading the application was that they had prior kilns that were broken. So I wondered how the artist would support and maintain the new kiln to prevent it from failing. And in feasibility, the project sounded feasible, but I thought it could benefit from having a more fleshed out timeline towards their goal after the kiln arrives.
Thank you. I will now open up the discussion to the full panel.
I think it's,
I think the,
oh, go ahead.
I want to say I think the work is beautiful. In regard to goals, I wanted to inquire, what does it look like in terms of supporting your desire to book 2 presentations a week? And does Indianapolis have enough to support those objectives for you? Or are you going to have to start seeking these types of businesses outside of Indiana? I think your cost associated is great. I was wondering, with the installation of the kiln, does it run on the current wiring, or is there additional electrical support that has to be put in that might affect the cost for the budget? And I love the idea of the mentorships. There may be trade shows within the industry that you might want to consider to target a larger audience for potential clients, especially, like I said, if Indianapolis may not begin to support your visiting or doing 2 presentations a week, and connecting with local art local art centers also might be helpful.
Her community engagement is pretty much limited to professionals that could advance her career, which I guess is okay for this fellowship. It's the level and technical requirements of her craft don't really apply well to doing workshops or demonstrations. So I think she needs to be really creative in figuring out ways to involve the community in what she does. If she has art out and around, people will see it, but beyond that, I'm kind of stumped as to what she can do there. But her work is incredible. I was very impressed.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll invite you all to finalize your comments in the online system for this application, Kissinger, and prepare for the next application review, Kreider.
Kreider.
Okay, the next application for review is On-Ramp 2021, Kreider. Our first reader is Shamira Wilson.
Thank you. For Kreider, I found a lot of positives for this one. For goals, I thought that she had a very good goal of creating a new body of work as an emerging artist. That sounds like a good place to start, and a reasonable, attainable goal. It sounds feasible and well thought out. A big point for me was in community engagement. I thought the artist had a good foundation with their ideas on community engagement. A question I had was, could the artist work more with the general public versus solely with other artists and organizations? And who is the audience that will be purchasing and supporting their artwork outside of those entities?
Thank you. Our second reader is Jessica.
Fascinating information that was given. It's really exciting to see this new art form. What I would like to see added to the goals, right now it looks like it reads a little bit like an "if you build it, they will come," and I would like to see a little bit more concentration on your current and potential clients and how you will utilize these new art pieces to create business. I do a little bit more specific planning, such as organizations and buildings you plan to collaborate with, and really specifically identify them. Regarding feasibility, pretty good. I think there are some what ifs in as far as you needing to contact NASA or possibly having to do some additional training to complete your goal. And then work on really honing in on that timeline with your intent to promote and what venues you intend to approach to display your work, the costs associated with putting on shows, and your timeline needs to really be looked into, because if you're not going to be receiving some of this as in kind, it can get very, very expensive very, very quickly. So I would look into that a little bit more. And then community engagement, I would explore opportunities outside of your membership access only sites. I think that's very, very imperative. And those access sites are great because those are people that you're already communicating with, but you got to look outside of that too. It's good to see that you have an outline, but you need to start contacting these people before you begin your artistic process so that you have a better idea of how this is going to be received. I like to see you consider doing the marketing and the creative process hand in hand so that you have a better idea of how you will be received.
And I think she talked, oh, go ahead, never mind, go ahead.
Yes, I will now open it up to the full panel. Annabelle.
Yeah, she talked about getting an agent, and I think that's can be pie in the sky for artists. I mean, you don't just go hire an agent. You have to have a pretty good body of work and a pretty good community recognition in order to attract someone, unless you get someone that's just, you know, trying to rip you off. But that's something that's going to take a lot of thought. Same thing with licensing. She may not be there yet, but working toward it.
You're speaking related to feasibility. Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah.
Great. Any other discussion on this application? All right, hearing none, I will invite you all to finalize your comments in the online system and prepare for the next application.
Hello?
Yes.
Which
So
one
we're
is next?
Misyak.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Mishak. Thank you.
Well, we find them. Misyak. Where's that one? Misyak.
Okay, our next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Misyak, and our first reader is Jessica.
I love the pottery. I think it's beautiful. I think your goals are well thought out, and it's clearly objective for it. What I would suggest and what I would like to see is some stats if you know what it is that you sell the most of. I see that you are making a couple of dinnerware sets and 100 mugs, and I was wondering what the labor costs were versus your selling price, and if it would be more lucrative to make more dinnerware sets than the mugs, or if that's what you sell the most of. I thought for your feasibility, the cost associated with your goal was very well thought out. And I was very appreciative of seeing you include tax in there. Again, looking into labor cost versus selling price as well as customer interest, and you might find that the larger pieces will yield a better income for you. As far as community engagement, I think that the personal engagement really helps create relationships with handmade goods, and the pieces are just lovely. I thought it was a very nice job.
Thank you. Our second reader is Annabelle.
Okay, I agree with the first two areas. As far as community engagement, again, it seems to be mainly interaction with customers and other potters, which is good. But she probably should explore other outlets such as demonstrations, workshops, and getting exhibits at galleries to really spread the word about her work.
Thank you. I will now open the discussion to the other panelists for new and opposing information.
I had a couple things on the feasibility. There's a lot of information there that isn't necessary, I don't think, that answer the questions completely without focusing on all the technicalities. I don't think that's so important as more of answering the questions. And I really don't understand the community engagement just by talking to customers. I don't think that's the goal for community engagement. I think it's more of either creating a workshop or doing some kind of art or some kind of installation. I don't know, but I think it needs a little more work on those second two items.
I had some feedback on the goals and feasibility that were pretty similar. I thought this project was well thought out, but I think it could be nice to see even more detailed information about how sales will be accomplished since the artist wants to work full time and they'll need to sell multiple items at events. For community engagement, it sounds like it's on track. However, I thought that it could be helpful to explore other organizations like food-related partnerships.
Thank you all for your feedback. I'll now invite you to finalize your comments in the online system for Mishak and prepare for the next application, Quackenbush. When we start that one, Annabelle, we'll put you in the waiting room in a minute.
Can you?
And she's gone. All right. The next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Quackenbush. Annabelle Hopkins has a conflict of interest and has been placed in the waiting room for this application. We do not have a first reader for this application, and so we will have Vicki come in as the second reader.
Hello. When Annabelle comes back, would you tell her to mute herself when she's not talking? Because I keep getting feedback from offers. Okay, so on the goals and the feedback on the goals, we need teachers. I like how the ceramics and photography are taught together. Photography and ceramics are both about textures and light, and that's a good pairing right there. It seems to sit directly during the school year, so that's very feasible. So it'll go during the year and not have to worry about summer when everything falls away and people take vacations and that kind of thing. And the artist on the community engagement, I think the artist is very open to sharing his knowledge with other artists, and this project will also help to create a body of work for archival use. So I like this one. I think it's written pretty well. That's it.
Thank you. I will now open it up for other panelists. Please share your thoughts on the evaluation criteria.
Question about the goals. As I was reading through this, and my question would be to if this artist could look at either determining whether if it was a goal to return to school to earn the MFA, so you can teach and use the technology to teach students, or is the goal to have the technology first and then get the MFA? So I was a little confused by that. So if that could be hashed out, that'd be great. And in regards to feasibility, I was interested to know what is the need for 3D documentation, and what is the current documentation that's used for photographing art, and would this be better, or is it not readily available to the majority of artists? I was interested in that. And then also, what's the plan when you're earning the MFA? Will you be teaching on the side, or is there an opportunity to do both at once, or do you have to put one off while you're working on your education? I would also perhaps, for community engagement, since this is new, is to identify another artist in your community who's highly skilled in this that perhaps you can use as a mentor. I think that would be helpful.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I have somewhat contrasting and complementary discussion for Jessica about the goals. I found that photographing artwork is an area that's much needed in schools, and it's something that in my experience isn't taught. You're kind of left on your own to figure it out. So I think that this person has found a good niche, but maybe that could be highlighted more in their application to discuss what that entails.
All right, I'll ask everyone to finalize your comments in the online system, please, and prepare for the next application. And we have brought Annabelle back in. Annabelle, you're muted right now, and if you could go ahead and stay muted until it's your turn to talk. Keep yourself on mute.
Okay.
Just to eliminate background sounds.
Okay.
Do you know how to mute?
Oh, you want me to mute?
Thank you. We are rounding the bend on an hour. I think we can do one more application review and then take a very short break. Does that sound okay to everybody on the panel? Okay. All right, well, we will start with our next application review then. On-ramp 2021 Ridgeway Woodall. Our first reader is Annabelle, if you want to unmute.
Now, I lost the application page when I went off. I'm trying to.
Okay, yeah, take a minute.
How to get
prepared.
back. Oh, okay. How am I gonna do that? I'm not sure where to go. Oh, I meant. I'm sorry, I don't know how to get out of here and get back to the application.
Okay, why don't we take a break right now?
I have notes, but
Okay.
maybe I can go from my notes, and if you need more.
Annabelle, that's okay. We will take a break right now, and Anna and Bridget can help you troubleshoot, get where you need to go while we're on break.
Okay.
Anna, is 5 minutes enough?
Sure.
Okay.
I think so.
We'll take a 5-minute break. We'll just come back at 11:35. That's all, maybe 6-minute break. 11:35, we'll come back on this panel.
Start over again.
All right, Annabelle, can we have you go on mute? We're getting ready to start. Thank you.
Okay. Am I on mute?
Not yet.
Oh, I have to be. Okay, just a minute.
There you go. Looks good. And we have Jessica back. Shamira, are you ready to begin again?
I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are back from our break, and our next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Ridgeway Woodall. Our first reader is Annabelle. Please unmute yourself.
Okay. This was really different. His goal is very narrow. I'm not sure how he's going to really earn a lot of money from it. Maybe that's not what he wants to do, but his experience and education and work are outstanding. He knows what he's doing. The items in his budget as far as feasibility aren't really explained that well, the studio fees, etc. Let's see, his only involvement seems to be to visitors to museums and libraries. It seems like a very, very narrow audience from his work if they have to go to a library or museum to see it. Perhaps he needs to consider some outreach to those who would not on their own seek out his homemade books, such as schools, community centers, youth groups, book clubs, galleries, etc. I guess I'm not really sure what he intends to do other than make some books this year and get them to a few limited places. So it's either my inability to understand what he's doing or maybe it just needs to be more clear.
Okay, so you have questions about the career goals. You would recommend that the applicant clarify the career goals?
I think so. Yeah, he wants to make homemade books available to the public and gain for their appreciation and acceptance, but it's not really a business goal. It's what he wants to do, and I'm not sure that it's entrepreneurial.
Thank you. All right, our second reader is Shamira.
My feedback pertained to goals and feasibility. I had a question about the artist being the voice of someone else and questions about that responsibility. How will they ensure autonomy and permission for the information that they're sharing? And for feasibility, I also had a question about the studio rental fee. Is this an alternative to the Cathead Press studio, or are they using their home studio? I needed a bit more information there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I will now open it up to the full panel for discussion. Annabelle, would you mind muting yourself?
I'm sorry?
Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I had some thoughts on the community. I had some thoughts on the community engagement. I think there needs to be a little bit more thought in how we're going to engage these two communities and seek out these handmade books, unless that's being left up to the discretion of the libraries. What's the plan for replacement of these books? Should some be lost, damaged, or stolen? And will there be a creation of multiple copies in case someone would like to purchase one for another organization to have in their collection?
I just wanted to add that I would like to see them in other places besides libraries, like maybe in art shows or enter them in shows or some kind of a gallery or something like that.
Okay, any more discussion on this application? Okay, hearing none, please finalize your comments in the online system and prepare for the next application, which will be Robinson. All right, the next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Robinson. Our first reader is Vicky.
Okay, I think that there's more work needed in some of these on the goals and the feedback. Where will the show be held? How will other artists mix with your art? And is it cohesive? My questions on the feasibility, I just need more details on the show venue and what is the target audience on that? And then I wanted to know with the community feedback, I mean, I like the goal to inspire hope, but it definitely, it's needed in community art. So I think that's a plus.
For this application, do you have any advice for strengthening the project?
It seems like it's pretty focused just on one thing, maybe spread it around a little or find a couple other venues, maybe.
Okay. There is no second reader for this application, so I will open it up to the full panel for further conversation on the evaluation criteria.
I think the art is beautiful. I think it was expressive, it was creative. The goal of sharing it with the mental health community is really terrific. Sadly, they're probably some of the most underfunded facilities that you'll find in healthcare. So for community engagement, I wouldn't limit myself to this audience. I think that this art is so beautiful that it will appeal to anybody it speaks to. And there are people that I'm thinking of now who would love to have pieces of this in their home. So I would expand the audience and let them be interpreted, because not let them. I think these pieces can be interpreted in so many different ways, and I'd hate to see them just be subjected to being in certain facilities and not available to.
Okay, any other discussion? Annabelle, are you speaking to us? You're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay now?
Yes.
Okay, let me get back now. I gotta keep moving these different screens around here so I get back to where I was. Oh, I can't get rid of this one. Wait a minute. It's terrible. I'm sorry, I'm just not really good at this computer stuff.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
All right, I found it. Okay, I feel like maybe she ought to consider being an art therapist, where she can use her art for mental health rather than mental health for art. Her figurines and paintings are nice and her dreams are good, but I'm not sure being a full-time artist is achievable. As a prior person said, the types of facilities where she wants to put her art don't usually have big budgets to pay for art. And you know, it's easy to get your art around places free, but they usually don't sell. And I'm just concerned about her ability to make a living. However, she definitely should keep up her art and produce and see if she can find opportunities. The group show is certainly doable, as is creating a body of art. Those goals certainly can be made. As far as community engagement, she's very strong in that area.
Okay, so I hear you recommending that she consider revenue streams outside of those facilities.
Yes, and I think she'd be possibly being an art therapist would be great, because she could create her art and get paid for it.
Thank you. Any final discussion? Hearing none, please finalize your comments in the online system for Robinson and prepare for the next application sheets.
Cheap.
Okay, the next application for review is on ramp 2021 sheets. We do not have a first reader today, and so we will go with our second reader to start us off, Jessica.
Thank you. I thought this hand paper making was lovely, and looking at the goals, the explanation of the creative work was somewhat difficult to understand without the visual aid. So I really appreciated having the website. It was very helpful to understand the process. But some information and pictures of the creative process would be very helpful in defining your sustainable art practice. So the final outcomes were amazing, but I would really love to see how, like I said, the creative process. In regards to feasibility, I thought the feasibility was good, except I did have a concern about the gap between November and March. Is there a plan in place to find some studio time in a heated studio so that you don't lose momentum in those 4 months? And, also the concern with weather being, what if it's too cold in October to work, or it doesn't warm up again in April? So do we have a contingency plan for that? Regarding community engagement, my questions of how will your new skills apply to a marketing and sales plan? I think it's important. I'd like to see you be able to understand who will be your potential clients and how you can engage your community in the artwork, and the investment in mentors to learn that the craft is vital, but what's your plan after that? So a little bit more is needed on those points, but beautiful art.
Great, I will now open it up to the full panel for discussion.
I just had questions about the community engagement part. I just didn't think that that's complete enough. I want to hear more about that. How's the community engagement going to work? So I just didn't think that was complete enough.
Annabelle, are you speaking to us? You are muted.
Okay.
Great.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to move all these darn screens around. It's crazy. I was going to say she needs to find more than 2 people as community engagement. Her work is very unique, and I think the public would be interested in it. I wondered if she could ever open her studio for art walks or open studio tours, or do something to get people into her studio to see what she's doing, because I think the interest would be there.
Thank you. Any final discussion from anyone? Hearing none, I will invite you to finalize your comments in the online system for sheets and prepare for the next application sphere. Okay, our next application for review is on ramp 2021 Spear, and our first reader is Shamira.
Thank you. I had some feedback for their goals and for community engagement. For the goals for this artist, I would like to have seen more of a connection between the materials they used and their artistic expression. Was there a narrative in addition to the artistic drive? And what is it about the material that is appealing to the artist and to the artist audience that could lead to a show at the Museum of Modern Art? It could also be great to hear some goals in between getting to the Museum of Modern Art that will help lead to that larger goal. Let's see. And for community engagement, how will the community benefit, or how will the community benefit from the artist sharing their artwork, and what will that contribute?
Thank you. Our second reader is Annabelle. You are muted right now. Okay, I unmuted you. There you go.
Okay. Now, now moved over again. Okay, just a minute. Okay. Yeah, her project is very ambitious and will bring her into the public eye. Her long-term goal is, let's say, very, very lofty. I hope she can get there someday. It's very rare, but the thing that concerned me is like the pop-up sculpture placements. She doesn't list any places that have actually approved her to do these. And I think that she should have done that for the project and list at least a couple of places where she has approval for the pop-up sculptures. That may be harder than she thinks it is to get. I think if she meets her goals, the community engagement will be good. Interactive public art is very beneficial to art appreciation and support by the community. So I think that if she can get it out there, she'll be able to have some interaction. But I just think there needs to be some more planning in how she's going to reach that point. Also, the art sale during the show, I wasn't sure how that was going to work. I think she was going to have other artists come in and sell their art during her show. Is that correct? I only have the one thing on my screen. That I wasn't real sure how feasible that was either.
Thank you very much. I will now open it up to full panel discussion.
I had a question.
About.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jessica.
Thank
Go ahead.
you. I had some questions about the feasibility of the project. I think it lost a little bit of perspective after the planning and how to create the artwork. I'd like to see more attention given to the curating of a solo show, the venue, the advertising, media relations, all of that. The budgeted amount of $410 with no in-kind donations is, in my opinion, very, very underestimated. And estimating sales of more than $3,300 when you don't have a viable campaign of how you're bringing people to the exhibition is not necessarily realistic. So I would like to see some more thought given to all of what I just mentioned. And again, also, if you're going to be looking to do installations in public, there's costs associated with that as well. Insurance for solo shows, protecting your artwork from damage, theft, liability, all of those things have to be considered for solo shows. So perhaps a better option might be to look at doing more than just solo for now until you've established this a little bit more. But I'm very interested in the art itself, and I thought it was a good job.
I'd like to see this artist to kind of focus more on a short-term goal than getting into the MoMA. I mean, that's every artist's dream of a modern artist, but I mean, that's kind of out in the future. The description of the feasibility, I'm having a hard time getting. I don't know the intended result. You know, what is the intended result that you're wanting from this, and what's the community engagement besides just the sale of art?
Okay, any final thoughts? Okay, hearing none. Please finalize your comments in the online system and prepare for the next application, Vasquez.
much for a moment and just check in. We are not going to finish all of these applications by noon, which is what we originally kind of asked you to plan for, panelists. So is there anyone who is unable to stay on for another probably 15 minutes, probably until 12:15? Is there any panelist who's unable to continue on that long? Okay, thank you so much for that extra time. I really appreciate these are excellent reviews. Appreciate you giving the time that's needed. So.
Okay, we do have a conflict of interest on Vasquez. The next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Vasquez. Shamira will be placed in the waiting room. Is she there? Now she is. All right. Shamir Wilson has a conflict of interest and has been placed in the waiting room for this review. Our first reader for this is Annabelle. I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Thank you. I think his goal is very clear: to purchase equipment and film 2 local events. That's fairly simple. This project will aid his professional developments and his contacts in the community. So I think his goals are good. Feasibility is very feasible. He's identified the equipment needed and the 2 major events to photograph, as well as the distribution of his photos to the organizations. Community engagement. As he progresses in his career, aided by new equipment, he will continue to make contacts with clients and organizations. I really like his work. I know how expensive that equipment is, and the grant will certainly help him reach his career goals by providing that equipment so he can take the next step.
Thank you. The next reader is Vicky.
Okay, on the goals and feedback, I feel this artist is already on track on his career, and he could use a boost by us helping him purchase the needed equipment. I like the plan he has for covering important events in Indiana. Feasibility, I think it's well planned and well written, and I'm confident with this applicant. The applicant already has solid ties in the community, which is and will be self-funding most of the project. So that's all positive too.
Thank you. I will now open it up to the full panel for discussion. Jessica, anything to add?
I think it's great. I love the feasibility. I really appreciated that he really worked well to align the specific purposes with his goals. And it's clear that a considerable amount of time was spent on this. I hate to see such a large outlay, and I'm hoping that other projects will offset some of the expenses.
Thank you so much. I'll now invite you all to finalize your comments in the online system and prepare for the next application, White. Okay, we have brought Shamira back from the waiting room, and we have placed Jessica in the waiting room. Our next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 White. Jessica Brand has a conflict of interest for this application, and we have placed her in the waiting room of Zoom. The first reader is Shamira.
Thank you. For White, I thought that the goals were, this was a great application. I felt the thought behind this project is very good. It's solid and it's in alignment with the artist's goals from what I've read, and their explanation of the feasibility sounded comprehensive and feasible. I had some feedback on the community engagement, that the artist experience and network supported their goals in community engagement. I think that the application could have been enhanced more with more information into the impact of the artwork And also, will there be a more specific subject matter or narrative for the exhibition than the explanation given in the packet? It's not necessary, but a big question that I had for the application. Overall, I thought it was excellent.
Thank you. There is no second reader, so I will open it up to the other panelists to add to the discussion.
I would like under goals for them to explain about the iPad, what they're going to use it for. I mean, it's obvious to me, but I think that needs to be in the application, because that's the main thing that they're going to buy with the money. So how are you going to use that iPad for your goals? And then the transition from commercial to fine art, you may lose income. What's the plan to make up for that if you lose income while you're transitioning into the fine art from the commercial? You know, are you still going to try to do that on the side to pay your bills, or, you know, what's that plan? That's it.
Do you have any recommendations for that kind of transition, Vicki? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I would say don't quit your day job yet, because you have to keep that income coming in. And yeah, it's a big transition. And I mean, I'm not sure what the percentage is of fine artists that make a living out of it, but I know it's not a lot. So most of us have other jobs too.
Thank you. Annabelle, you're muted. Do you have anything to add? Oh, yes.
I think am I okay?
You're unmuted, yes.
Okay, yeah, it seemed like his goal is to build an online store. And to do that, he wants to have a show. And to me, it seems like it should be the other way around, that he should have a show and then get contacts from that. It just seems a little backward to me, but I also have some logistic things as far as how large his space is. He's going to have tables and chairs and art. He wants the art on easels, which is a very large expense, which may be a one-time use of all those easels. Is there any way he could attach photos to the walls or do something else besides putting them all on easels? The food budget's pretty large. I'm not sure he needs to be an LLC, but that's his business, not mine. I don't know too many artists that are LLCs, but I would suggest he devote more of his budget to developing his online stores rather than the show. And let's see, that covers feasibility. He has good community engagement. I like the proposed teaching, and he has good contacts.
Wonderful, thank you for that discussion. I think we heard from everybody. If you would please finalize your comments in the online system. Prepare for the next application, Will. We can bring Jessica back from the waiting room. Yeah, thank you. Jessica, we're preparing for the next application. You're the first reader, so I'll give you a minute to prepare.
Thank you. Okay, I'm ready.
Great. The next application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Will, and Jessica is our first reader.
Thank you. For goals, I thought that the goals were clearly defined with this project. It already has spaces to exhibit and interact with the public. It ties directly to the larger goal of becoming a full-time artist. I thought this was a really nice job. Regarding feasibility, the costs have been listed in great detail with consideration for labor, which I always like to see with an artist. I would suggest considerations of costs associated with lost or stolen pieces and putting some steps in place with venues supporting your artwork to prevent such losses. Perhaps the library will agree to some kind of a way to sign out pieces to those wishing to play the game if you find that your pieces go missing with some frequency. And also that there sometimes is a risk of liability when the public can interact with your artwork. So making sure that the feasibility study and the budget takes precautions with proper insurance and liability waivers. I think that this is a great idea of engaging the community by utilizing the guest book and making yourself available to interact with the public. I would also get in touch with local media like social, TV, and print that might be interested in covering a story like this, and make sure to photograph and document each installation for when you're asked to submit photos for the story and for print media. But I think this is a really, really great use of the funds that you're applying for. Very, very nice job.
Thank you. The second reader is Annabelle.
Okay, I agree fully with everything that she said. I have that his tangible and intangible goals are both good. It's realistic. I love the idea of the traveling chess table. I think that is a great way to gain community awareness. And along with the precautions that were mentioned, I think that's something that more artists need to do.
Thank you. I will now open up discussion to the full panel.
My primary question was in community engagement around the feasibility of limited feedback in the guest book, and also the expectation of partners monitoring the furniture pieces and reporting back. Is there a way that the artist can capture more of the feedback themselves directly versus having someone else manage that secondhand?
Okay, great. I'll ask the panel to finalize comments in the online system for this application. Will. And prepare for the next application, Wolf. Okay, our next and final application for review is On-Ramp 2021 Wolf. We don't have a first reader, and I'll invite our second reader, Vicky, to start us off.
Okay, I feel like that they did address the points fully in the application, but I just want to read my comments here. I love public art in hospitals. It's proven therapeutic, but I don't think that anatomical art is the right angle. Someone who might be experiencing trauma or maybe upset by seeing a huge exposed organ, okay, of a painting. I do feel that they would be great learning aids for like med students, that kind of thing. Maybe if they were in the break room of the hospital for the employees, you know, the people that are, I don't know. I just feel like I'd rethink and explore other successes in other hospitals, like maybe the Winona or the IU Med Center. A lot of hospitals have art. Go look and see what they have and what is more appropriate. I think the project's feasible, especially the working from home part is great. Hospital art reaches a huge public audience, from the doctors to the janitors, all the patients of all types. Hospitals are a place of birth and death. Both can be slow process where people sit and contemplate life. I want this artist to continue with this process, but think about healing or inspirational art rather than the anatomical. I just feel like there's a place for that art, but I don't think it's in the hospital. I think it's too graphic for hospitals. I would like to see something a little more, you know, just a little softer, gentler. That's my opinion.
Okay, I will now open the discussion to the full panel for new or opposing comments.
I would like to add some things regarding feasibility. And I do agree with the previous speaker on a lot of those points. Art for healthcare. And I don't know if you can see me or not. Please, can you hear me still?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot that goes into art for healthcare, and especially in regard to studying where it's going to go. I mean, there's multiple studies that you can read that if you're trying to put art in a place where people receive chemotherapy, that you cannot use water because that makes people nauseous. There's certain art for pediatrics that can't have, you know, certain animals in it, teeth showing. There's all kinds of issues regarding sterile settings that you have to deal with. And also, more importantly, most healthcare facilities either lease their artwork or so that they can be changed out periodically, or it's contracted. It has to be insured so that if it's damaged, there are certain kinds of glass that have to be placed on the artwork. But there's so much to it that becomes the artist's expense. So that's a lot of options to look at. And I agree. I think that the anatomical art is interesting. I don't know if there's really a market for it in healthcare, but I'd like to see you looking at maybe other things with this art outside of healthcare, because it certainly is very interesting art, and I enjoyed looking at it. I don't know that it would be as well received in a hospital.
Annabelle, are you speaking with us?
Yes, am I unmuted now?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you are.
I can speak from personal experience since I'm working on commissions right now for the IU Bloomington new hospital. The first round of their art, the hospital itself directly contracted with the artist. The second round is being done by art consultants, which I think most hospitals use. They, just go to the hospital and sell your art. They have consultants that find the artists and deal with them. I was specifically told, don't paint anything red because it looks like blood. They didn't want yellow or green. They're very specific in the colors that we could use because of the atmosphere they're trying to create. So I think the last thing they'd want is a picture of a heart. But she said that she has hung her work elsewhere for free with good results. I'm not sure where those places were, but getting someone to purchase it may be different. So I think also that she does need to rethink her plans to make money selling it. Her community engagement is good. She's put a lot of effort into building relationships. She's well connected. And I think that part of her application is strong. And her work is good. It's just like we say, finding the right place for it is going to be a concern.
Thank you. Any final thoughts?
I had one piece of feedback for community engagement that might support the aesthetic and healing aspect of the artwork. It sounded like the applicant had a lot of support from healthcare spaces that she previously displayed in, but maybe it could be, or he or she, they could be enhanced by getting some sort of feedback from actual visitors, whether that's speaking directly to people or doing more extensive research into that community to see what might be appropriate.
Thank you so much. I'll invite all the panelists to finalize their comments in the online system for this application. And this concludes the On-Ramp Fellowship 2021 Greater Lafayette Cohort Panel B, Visual Arts, Photography, and Craft Arts. Thank you, everyone. Panelists, you can stay on for a minute.
Okay, if you are a guest, goodbye. Thank you for joining us, panelists and staff. Hang on.
You want to stop the recording or not?
Hold on just a second.